Okay. This thing's starting off with a bang, isn't it? Holy cow. Google, YouTube, you got to work with me. What is the deal? Now I remember why I don't like going live so often. The issues that I have on YouTube are bizarre. They're really strange. We'll get started here in just a second. I have no idea why it's acting up like this, but yeah, it will not pull up. What is going on? This is really bizarre. It's not letting anybody in. Mic check. Mic is obviously working. Camera's working. Settings I can't look at. YouTube is just not sending out notifications either. That's really weird. Well, for anybody that is in here, I can't see whether or not you're in here. Oh, there it goes. There's a number. There's one. We're going to kick this thing off here in just a couple minutes. Let me know if you can hear me. I have no idea why YouTube didn't push out notifications. I have no idea why. I don't know. We always have technical difficulties, guys. I don't know what the deal is. This is why I don't live stream very often. But hey, this is the third consecutive week I think I've live streamed. So I'll give you guys just a little bit to kind of come into the room. We'll talk about this barbecue. What didn't happen. I don't have all the access. Robert Ainsworth, you got 3 notifications. That's weird. So I don't know what happened. I have another device that it's actually my wife's device, and she subscribed to me on YouTube, and I was sitting here checking her notifications. She never got them. She didn't get a single one. Then I asked some more of my friends, and they were like, yeah, I never got the notification. So I don't know. YouTube's just acting funky. It's sending out multiple notifications to some people, and some people aren't getting them at all. And these are people who every time I've live streamed, they've gotten a notification. It's really bizarre. So we probably won't have a ton of people in here, and that's okay. We're just going to talk. We're going to talk about the barbecue and what information we have there. I can't make it too long. I got to be somewhere at 6:30, but there is plenty to talk about because, well, there's a lot to talk about considering the barbecue wasn't what everyone thought it was, but I think some people are overreacting a little bit. Hey, any new commitments? Cross, we'll get there in just a second, sir. Thank you, Crazy Hog in Austin, for coming through. If you guys are in here, please feel free to comment. Let me know you're in here. I want to know how your week has gone so far. And if you guys have any questions, please ask away. I do have a list. I finally have some kind of a list of who actually made this barbecue. So hang on just a second. Let me get these guys to push this on social media. Hey, any chance you guys can push live stream? Media for me having issues. So, anyways, I want to thank you guys again for stopping by. If you have any questions, ask them. We'll use this segment to kind of ask questions while I'm waiting on people to show up and while we get this live stream pushed out to social media. What's up, Azazian? How you doing, buddy? I love that name. I don't know what it is. Azazian of Absurdity. Sounds like Sargon of Akkad. If someone told you a new team joined the SEC, who would you guess it is? You'd have to assume it would be like a big, like Florida State, Miami. I don't know that I would. The Big 12 schools are scared. Big 12 schools just don't want no part of the SEC. They knocked on the doors of Oklahoma and Texas. They wanted no part. So I would assume it would be one of those schools over in the East. I can see Georgia Tech. If I'm not mistaken, Georgia Tech is actually an original team of the SEC. They got booted out, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. It's a good question, Greg. Keep them coming. keep asking away while we wait just a little bit to get some folks in here. Again, I don't know. I'm sorry. I apologize about the notifications. Some people got multiple. Some people got none. If you didn't and you just happened to be browsing on YouTube and you saw that I was live, thank you for coming in here. Look, the barbecue, man. Again, we'll get to that in just a second. We'll talk about that in just a second. Let me do my intro for everyone who's trying to get caught up. Welcome to it's the Pig Trail Network. I'm on 2 shows now. I have this show and then I have the Hog Talk podcast. I feel like I say that as much as I do my intro for the Pig Trail Network. But thank you guys so much for taking a little time out of your day to stop by and checking out the content and all that stuff. If you would, at the end, like, comment, share the content that you just watched. Of course, if you haven't already, tap the subscribe button. Hello, Hog fans, says Tom Armstrong. How you doing, Tom? Hope all's well. Whoops. Wrong chat. I'll just copy and paste. My bad. So speaking of the Hog Talk podcast, we've had some really awesome guests on the Hog Talk podcast. That link is down below in the description box if you want to go check out those podcasts. That'll send you to thehogpen.net. That's Jacob Scott Davis, who now works with Rivals. He does the Hog Talk podcast with me, but that's his website, the hogpen.net. And if you look off to the right, you can see our podcast over there. New to the PTN. Enjoy the videos you do. Hey, thanks, Randy. I appreciate that. I really do. Spread the word. Spread the word. And don't forget to like and all that. Okay, they're getting out notification. I sent that text to the wrong group. I'm in like 10 freaking group texts, the groups on iPhone, and like 7 of them are Razorback fans, and I 8 out of the 10 are Razorback fans, and of course I got it to the wrong one, but they're at least Hog fans. At least they know what I'm talking about. They're like, "What are you doing?" Appreciate it, fellas. So I'm asking Peck, who has joined us on the Hog Talk podcast. He's now our producer. He's in the producing role. Shout out to him if he happens to come through. Robert Ainsworth, I do appreciate I got your DM on Facebook. I know we're having all sorts of technical difficulties there. I appreciate your heads up, Robert. Again, if you guys have any question, now's the time, because we're about to knock this thing out. We're about to start rolling, and I've got to be a little bit better, trying to organize like what I'm talking about and also answering your questions. So, why Dex Clement says, why is so many Hog fans down on this coaching? That's a question for the chat. I don't know if that's a question for me. 2-10, just a hint. 2-10, and I don't know if they're going to be able to repeat the kind of recruiting that they had in 2019 or for the 2019 class. That's really hard. That's asking a lot. Do you think our defense will improve a lot with all these 4-star recruits? Well, in 1 year, I don't know. Anything's possible, because what you have is repetition, right? Like these guys, they've been with Chavis now for a full off season. They've been with the staff for a full off season. So it's not just the incoming freshmen, but you're also curious about the juniors and seniors who are from the Brett Bielema era. Have they fully bought in? Guys like, Sosa again, Scooter Harris. Scooter Harris is fine. I think we can all agree Scooter Harris will be okay. It's about, can those guys, are they buying in to the system? How easily can this staff coach them? And what's their ceiling really like? Are we going to get an Armand Watts? Remember Armand Watts? This guy didn't do much of anything until last year. And he's top 10 in the country for interior defensive lineman quarterback sacks. I think he ended up with like 7.5 sacks. Before that, what you could count on one hand how many tackles the guy was in on, right? He wasn't really a big part of the defense. He comes in, he was bought in, and he punched himself a ticket to the NFL. And look at him. He's in the big leagues. So that's the question. Can you get those juniors and seniors who are back this year, can you get them bought in? Dorian Gerald, who was the top 2 JUCO defensive end in the last class, I'm going to continue to keep an eye on him. As for these 4-stars like Montiel Soli and that whole group of defensive linemen, I know who you're talking about. I do think those guys will provide great help as far as rotation. They're going to provide depth. I don't know if any of them come in and, like, what's his name out of Little Rock? Zach Williams. I get the impression he's probably going to redshirt unless he just comes into the fall camp and surprises everybody. But I like what the freshmen bring to the table. I'm still concerned about linebacker. So to the short end of your, or to put it, to summarize, yes, but not in the way you think. I don't think you're going to have some. I don't think Montiel Soli's going to come in and have some breakout freshman year. I think it's going to rely deeply on what happens with those guys at the front end of the rotation. Utah. I haven't even had time to process that one. I don't know. Hey, I'm grateful. I just don't know why Pac-12. Why Pac-12? Who cares about out west? Well, okay, we'll get to that in a second. But to summarize, I do think that they will help. I just don't think it's going to be like what most people think. You're going to get some freshmen come in and blow the doors off the hinges. I don't think that happens. But as far as like depth and rotation, they're going to help. They're going to provide a lot. I heard Chief talk about keeping Sosa Agim at, like, what do you say, 50 snaps? He wants to keep Sosa at 55 snaps. How many plays do offenses run on average these days? 70? You know, unless it's a real conservative offense, and how many of those are even in the SEC anymore? So, yeah, you got to have people to provide depth behind him, right? You got to have people that can fill in, that can rotate, that can get him some plays off. And I think, too, you're going to see some guys come in situational downs, like 3rd and 4th and short and stuff like that. You're going to have guys come in, probably some freshmen. So, anyways, let's get on to the next question. Mo Cuts. The 2020 class will not be as heralded, but the 2021 class has a chance pending a decent record in a bowl game. I agree, Mo. I agree 100%. I feel like the biggest issue Arkansas coaches have had consistently the past few years is player development. I honestly hear no one talking about that. No, you're right. With football season coming up, getting closer and closer, that has to be the question that's answered by this staff. Where do you feel like, you talk about development of these players since the time the Chad Morris and his staff got here, who's come the farthest? And we got the strength and conditioning coach came out and talked about, the weight gain and the weight loss. Now, Jacob and I talked about this on the Hog Talk podcast on the last episode. It's a cool episode. It's fun. That was episode 12. Guys, we're closing in on we're over 2,500 downloads, and we've only had 12 episodes. We're going to go to 2 episodes a week starting the first week of football season, so keep an eye out on that. But we talked about that. And Jacob goes down the entire list of everybody who's lost and gained weight. That tells you these guys are bought in. But what about the technique of what they're doing, what they're asked to do at the position? Are they bought in, and how are they as far as the developmental stage of their college career? Where are they at as far as from what you can tell? Obviously, they're the only ones that can answer this question. The media, we could sit here and bring guests on and talk to them, but it's really about the coaches, about the coaching staff, what they see. I wish they were a little bit more honest. But that's every coaching staff. They're gonna hype up their team. They're gonna give you a lot more positive than negative. That's just the way these things work. I wish they were more blunt, like maybe a Steve Spurrier or Leach up at Washington State. I wish they were more blunt and honest about what's going on. This staff is not like that, but that's part of that's how you rev people up. Things are not so great with Arkansas football. It's hard to get people to come to buy tickets when you say, yeah, Sosa Agim's a 4th-year senior, and I don't feel like he's developed at all. You hear that. That's, I agree. Development, that is a question that needs to be asked more often. Will the other SEC West teams be stronger this year? No, I don't. I think Mississippi State takes a step back. I think Ole Miss is going to be about the same. I could be wrong. Maybe the new staff at these schools are better than I think. I just wasn't bought into what they did last year. They just weren't that impressive. Mississippi State's got to replace a lot of talent on offense. Their offensive line, they've got some questions on defense. A&M is going to be – now, when you talk about A&M, yeah, they're going to be better, and that's going to be a hard pill to swallow to see A&M – that it's already been a hard pill to swallow ever since they joined the league. They've just been better than Arkansas. but it is what it is. But they are going to improve this year. I really look at them I don't know if they're going to compete against Bama, but they're going to be that team that's right behind Bama, I think, like 10 wins head to head. Yeah, you expect Alabama to frog stomp A&M because they have that much more talent. It's a Nick Saban coach team, but A&M is going to be someone to keep an eye on. LSU, Jacob and I had a really interesting conversation about LSU. I like their quarterback situation, but other than that, on offense, yeah, they've got a big-time 5-star running back, but they have that every year. They're not. There's a lot of questions with what's going on in their backfield, and there's a lot of questions on just on their offense in general. Supposedly, they're going to open things up a little bit more on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, I don't know if they're going to be much better. I had said originally I thought LSU would be about the same or better than what they were last year. I think Jacob's right. Jacob says he thought they're going to be leaning towards not as good, and I think he's right now that I've really had a chance to kind of dissect a little bit of what's going on down there in LSU. And then you look at who am I missing out on? Auburn, Gus Malzahn, look what he did in their bowl game. He called the plays. He called their plays, and Auburn lit it up, fellas, ladies and gentlemen. And do they bring that? Does he bring that to the regular season in 2019? They've got some talent. They always do. They're going to be someone to keep an eye on. I do think they're a little bit better. I don't know. Not a whole lot. Maybe they're about the same, but Gus Malzahn's backed into a corner. And you don't ever count anybody out that's backed against a corner, especially with the kind of talent they have on that roster. So I do like Auburn to probably be better just because of how bad they were, considering how hyped up they were last year and how hard they fell. I think with who they have coming back, I think Auburn's going to be better. So I guess yes and no, because I feel like the rest of the SEC is going to be about the same. Arkansas is going to be better. How much better? Time will tell. Time will most certainly tell. Answer more of your questions. Azazian says, "Oh yeah, the Utah. So Utah. Yeah, I haven't even unpacked that yet. I guess they're going to play them in 2026 and then 2028. So I'll be 40. What am I? How old am I now, guys? Am I 30? I'm 36. I can't do the math there right now off the top of my head, but I'm going to be in my 40s, and that's depressing. Don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings who is in their 40s. I'm just saying, I'm 36 now, and to think we're this far out. Look, in the year 2045, they're going to finally play Arkansas State. So I'm just saying. Sosa and Dorian will capitalize this year. I hope so, because we saw what Armon Watts did from his junior year to his senior year. Got himself drafted. Had he been at the same level before, he wouldn't have been drafted. I don't even think he'd be a free agent. I don't even think that would be a conversation. Would he play? And you saw how much he bought in. Randy says, year 3 with Morse, I believe will be competitive again in the SEC. If they continue to recruit like they did the tail end of the 2018 class when they brought in Dory Gerald, Joseph Fouché, Rakeem Boyd, guys like that. And then 2019, what they're able to do. If we get more of what they did in 2019, yeah, they should be competitive. I think they could compete this year. I don't know about winning games. I think they'll be more competitive. Will they win those games? I don't know. You could still be hella competitive and still lose games. So I agree, Randy. I think they will be competitive by year 3. Tony says, how long do you think it will be? How long do you think it will take for Arkansas to be good? Depends on your definition of good. Bowl games, I think some fans are like, well, a bowl game for me is good. If you mean like competitive, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 wins a year, that sort of thing, it's going to be a while. Like I said in the last, I think we talked about this in the last live show that we did. Just it's better emotionally and to prevent ulcers to just be along for the ride. And I think that's all you can be right now. Just be along for the ride. Enjoy the game for what it is. Arkansas still going to lose games. I am coming out with my total win-loss, my record next month, here in like a couple of weeks. But again, as I've mentioned before, I'm having a hard time seeing them make a bowl game. I'm still having a really hard time seeing those guys make a bowl game right now. So that could change. Maybe I see something in fall. That's really what I'm waiting for. I want to see if I ever, God willing, finally get the U of A to get me a press pass. Been working on that. If I finally ever do and I'm able to see something else up close and personal that I didn't see before, something maybe I overlooked, it could sway my mind. But I don't know. You just got to be along for the ride, really. Randall the Great, thanks for the donation. I appreciate that. So I got donations in the last podcast. I don't know where they went. I don't have an account set up through YouTube, so I have no idea. I have a. If you look in the description box, I have a PayPal. Okay, if you want to donate there, that's awesome. If you want to join the Patreon, that link is down below as well. I don't know where they went. My wife, I was talking to my wife, was like, oh yeah, hey, a couple people donated. I don't know where the money went, but hey, a couple people donated. So I do appreciate that. Let's see. Let's get caught up. Jameel Robinson says, my hog's going to be better this year. I think they will be improved. I do agree. What's up, QTZ6501? How you doing, sir? Randy says, I'm with you, Jamil. 7 wins. We going to beat Ole Miss. We're gonna beat Ole Miss. We're gonna steal it from Kentucky and beat Missouri too. I think those, and this is what I like. I don't know how many of you are up here in Northwest Arkansas, but you have Ruskin and Zach. Regardless of your opinions on them, look, they had big shoes to fill with Bo Mattingly. That's a tough loss. I'm sorry. I don't care how people feel about Bo Mattingly. That show was as good as when Chuck Barrett had his show back in the day. I used to listen to that. I've listened to a lot of sports radio growing up, and Chuck Barrett was like my favorite. And then, of course, he became the voice of the Hogs. So fast forward to now, you've got Ruskin and Zach. And something I like about them, something I like about Zach, he won't give you his win total, but he talks about a pathway to a certain amount of wins. And he sees a path for 7 wins. I don't disagree. I think the path is there. It's just whether or not you're talented enough to win those games. And those games you mentioned are definitely, I think they're coin flips. So again, thank you, Randall the Great, for that donation. When I find it, when I figure out where those donations go, again, if you guys want to donate, there is a PayPal down below in the description box, and there's the Patreon page as well in the provided. It's Liddy Int. I don't know what that means. I don't know what your name means. I'm sorry, bro. Arkansas have to overachieve this year to prove that they're competitive. If not, then I think 2020. Yeah, I think you're right. They will have to overachieve if they want to make a bowl game. They're going to have to overachieve. Will be a long year. It will. I agree. If you're in for, if you want Arkansas to make a bowl game, I agree. We have to play Notre Dame in 2020. And the schedule won't be easy. Yeah, it gets harder from here on out. QTZ says, my heart says 6 wins, but my logical mind says 5. I agree. I'm leaning somewhere in there. Yeah, I agree. The door to that leg of 7 and 5 is Ole Miss. The path. I see what you're saying. Yes, I can see at least 6 wins this year. Yeah, I don't at least 6 wins. If you guys know something I don't, hey, fill me in, because I have a hard time seeing that at least 6 wins. I think you're at least looking at 4 wins. We'll see. Okay. All right. We answered about 15, 20 minutes worth of trying to answer questions. If you guys have any more, I'll try to get back to them. If I missed your question, I apologize. So yeah, also the where to go? Hold on, let me find it. Okay, so we'll talk about the barbecue really quick. Now, I know you guys are going to have a lot of questions. There's a lot of mystery as to who actually all showed up. There was never a list that was actually posted. So I looked. I had feelers out. I had everyone who Jacob and I both know, and obviously Jacob works alongside Nikki Chavanella with hogbeat.com over on Rivals, and even he was having a hard time trying to figure out who exactly all showed up and who didn't. This is the list so far. This is from Jacob. Shout out to my PIC, partner in crime on the Hog Talk podcast. Connor O'Toole, Darren Turner, Jashad Stewart. Darren Turner is that 4-star athlete or 4-star wide receiver. Crawford Mangum, Morris, Aaron Moore, Brady Ward, Cottrell Wallace, Brandon Lane, Landon Jackson, Clayton Smith. The Jones brothers showed up, Jay and Jalen, and Drayden Norwood. That's who showed up. So, I don't want to call it rhetoric, but the word around social media amongst Hog fans is that this thing was a bust. The barbecue was a bust. A lot of the media kind of overhyped it. Maybe they did, because it's hard to blame anybody, and we talked about it here on the Pig Trail Network. It's how successful that thing was in terms of getting commits immediately following, who wouldn't be hyped up for this? I think anybody who kept up with recruiting last year, or even just ever, the success that barbecue had, the immediate success, I think a lot of fans were hoping for this year. I went from putting 2, possibly 3 players on commitment watch to now I don't know if they get anybody this week. I have no idea. Cottrell Wallace was definitely somebody I thought, and he's of course the 3-star outside linebacker, tall kid, 6'4", 6'5", like 210, 215, someone who would provide some help as far as rotation and depth along the defense. I like Wallace. I like him a lot. I had him on commitment watch. I really thought he was going to be someone that would commit sometime this weekend, if not this week. I don't know what happens next. I haven't heard anything. All the people that I do talk with, including Jacob, everything just went kind of cold. Now there's a lot of questions as to, okay, what about then you had Davin Turner, the 4-star athlete. There were people who had him on commit watch, still do this week. Everything that I know about either one of those two is that I don't think that they're going to commit this week. They haven't given a date, and there's no smoke. Generally, when you have smoke, you've got fire. I don't see anything right now. So the question from here on out is, will they continue to do the barbecue if they don't get immediate commits the following week? I don't think that's the purpose of the barbecue. I think the purpose of the barbecue is just to get people here. You got to remember, this thing was on a Friday night, and they had to pay for this trip themselves. The families and the kids had to find their own way to Fayetteville. So, and yes, I agree, they should do it on Saturdays. I agree 110%. But supposedly one of the reasons I was told yesterday was that they want these kids to feel like they can still come to Arkansas's cookout and then also go wherever they want to go on Saturday if there's another event going on that weekend. I think they did it Friday night last year and it worked. So should they move it to Saturday? That's a conversation I think is worth having. I don't know that they do or not, but that was a big part of it. You had the Memphis 3, McDonald and French and Eason. You know, you had guys that couldn't catch rides. They just couldn't make it. You had 4-star tackle Garrett Hayes who couldn't make it because of work. So you're missing out on a large chunk of the guys that you expect to commit or who are or at least already committed and maybe bring their friends along, like the Memphis 3. You expected them to show up. I think we'd have a completely different outlook on this thing as far as it being a success or a failure. Also, as far as commits are concerned too, I know that's another way we look at it and we judge as well if it's a success. I would argue that that's not how we base this barbecue. I don't think that that's a proper assessment of whether or not it was good, if it was a successful event. I think the purpose of that is to bring those guys all together, get them on campus, and let them check things out. And they did. Listen, there's a 2021 prospect, LJ Johnson, the 4-star running back out of Texas, 5'10", 205 pounds. Did not know what to expect. Came into this barbecue. He's now put Arkansas in his top 2. Now, I don't know if Arkansas, I don't know if they were top 2 before. I don't know if they were or not, but I know that he really enjoyed his trip and was more or less, I don't think he said he was blown away, but reading from what the text that was sent to me is he really had a good time. So you're changing minds. You're getting guys on campus. You're getting them some more access to what goes on behind the scenes. That's the purpose of this barbecue, and maybe down the road they commit. Jalen Catalon, I think it was Catalon that showed up to the barbecue. He didn't immediately commit. He committed later on. That's how I think you're going to judge this, as far as it's a part of the body of work as far as recruiting. It's all a body of work. You know, if they miss on these kids, they miss on them. We know they got French, and I feel pretty confident still that they end up getting him and he signs. As far as his teammate, Eason, and McDonald, who's currently a commit to Mississippi State, I don't know. So I would pump the brakes on saying that this was a failure. Wait until February. The guys, get that list that I just said here, and I've been meaning to share this down below in the comment section with you guys. And if none of those guys commit, none of them sign, then okay. Then you can look at it and say, well, the barbecue didn't really work out. Let's read comments really quick. Let's see. Jamil, your message was retracted. I'm sorry. I don't know what that was all about. Tony Brown says, if we have a bad year this year and next year, do you think Chad is on the hot seat? Let's see, that would put him in year 4, right? So this year's year 2, next year's year 3, year 4. Would he be on the hot seat? I think his seat would be warm. And it depends too on what you mean by bad. If you mean, not winning conference games, yeah, he'll be out by. I'd have a hard time seeing them give him 5 years like they did Brett Bielema. If he can at least do something similar to what Brett Bielema did. That's why Brett got 5 years, was his transformation from year 1 to year 2 to year 3, and then it went downhill after that, and then he got fired. But that's how he got 5 years. If you're talking 4 years of, 4-8, 2-10, whatever, 3-9, yeah, I don't see him lasting beyond that. Jamil says, man, I miss Petrino. Well, we missed the wins. I know that much. Eric Barnes says it's hard to predict wins and losses until we actually see the growth of the team. You can accomplish a lot in a full off season, so let's just be patient. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you got to be patient. Like I said, you got to be along for the ride and just hope that it all works out, and hope these guys are being developed. It's hard to predict, or sorry, I already read that. Red Dog. Moving on to the next comment. Red Dog. I don't see Boyd or Whaley doing much behind such a terrible offensive line. They aren't McFadden or Jones. You don't have to be McFadden or Jones to have success as a running back. I don't know what you mean by that. See, they'll struggle like the Allen brothers did for so long behind such a terrible line. Well, that I do agree with, yeah. As much as I wish we had speedy power backs. Talking about Adrian Peterson? Not very many speedy power backs. We got to build our line first. Moore said it himself. It's a line of scrimmage game. Also, could we for once recruit heavy on defense? RD is our Achilles heel. It is every year. They've had one top 20 year on defense in terms of ranking all teams. They've had one top 20 year, and that was 2014. It's a long time. But let's see. Our D line is our Achilles heel year in and year out. Tackling high, arm tackles. Who's teaching these kids how to ball? I miss Sam Aljabutu. I got a funny story about Sam Aljabutu and Jamal Anderson. Those are both really good defensive players. Zazian says, I believe it'll take 3 or 4 games to finally work out the kinks, but our air game, quote unquote, will be scary and a mystery to our opponents because of all the new bodies on the field. Very, very little film to use. Well, generally what in the SEC, what they do, if you don't have a lot of film, you just have talent. You don't necessarily, film is essential. We all know that, but I wouldn't say that that's the reason why anyone has success is because you haven't seen us on film. You just have, don't get me wrong. It's definitely an advantage, but they've seen the offense to some extent, right? I think that when you combine the two, lack of film on these guys and the fact that they're going to be able to install more of the offense going forward, that's a big deal. I really feel like we don't beat Ole Miss in game 2, then we go into suck for the rest of the season. Yeah, I don't know. Last year they got better as the year went on, and then they got hurt. Like you go back and you watch that Alabama game, the first couple of quarters, Arkansas was pretty competitive. They were moving the ball, and they looked confident, and they looked like they knew what they were doing for a little bit. And then, of course, Alabama's going to Alabama, and they walked all over Arkansas. It's they'll be better. I don't know that I'm going to judge the entire season on what happens in game 2, but it could be an indicator. Absolutely. I agree. That's what we got. If you guys again have any more questions, I want to thank you so much for being patient. I know we had that technical difficulty when we tried to go live the first time, and I don't know what happened there. YouTube's just funny for whatever reason. When I try to go live, it acts funny. Tony Brown says, do you think we are going to beat Western Kentucky around the end of the year? Yeah, I do. New offense, new quarterback, could be Ty Story. I think they're going to be good enough they win all 4 of their non-conference games. Are they going to be good enough that they can steal a couple of SEC games? That's the question. But I do feel like, Tony, I feel like they end up beating Western Kentucky. They should beat all their non-conference games. If they don't do it this year, it's going to be tough because, like someone pointed out earlier, you got Notre Dame on the schedule the following season. So got to consider that. So, again, if you guys have any more questions, feel free. Check that out. Only 34 minutes. Last time we went live, I think it was like a 45-minute video. Works out perfect. If you guys have any questions, don't forget, Eric Barnes says, don't forget we have quarterbacks that can get the ball out quicker. That will help the O-line. The defense looks so bad because the offense has been three and out, which keeps the defense on the field. Yeah, no, that is true. When you don't have an offense and when you keep the pressure on the defense, when you continuously have to rely on a defense to bail you out or to get the ball back in the hands of the offense, and you're not getting anything done on offense, it's just that much more pressure for the defense to have to respond to. And that's one thing I always liked about the pro-style offense. It takes so much pressure off the defense if you can eat the clock up and run the ball with power without, even when people know what's coming at them, try and stop me. That's what I thought when Brett Bielema got hired. I'm not going to lie. I love that style of football. You know what's coming. Try to stop it. What's wrong with that? In today's football, though, that it's just out the window. No one really runs that anymore. At least not the really good teams. They'll run the ball. It's not to say that they won't, but they won't do it. They won't line up a fullback and a running back. And I get it. It's just not. I guess it's just hard to operate these years. But that's what I liked about that, though. If you could eat up the clock, keep the defense on the sidelines, get them some more rest, give them more time to kind of, to gather their thoughts and figure out what's going on with who they're playing on offense. You just felt like the advantage would be with the defense. And we saw how that worked out with Brett Bielema. Not so well. Red Hog says, bring the LSU game back to Thanksgiving Day. Other than that, the past couple of years, we went neck and neck, and they were top 10 almost every season. It's a competitive rivalry. What is this A&M LSU? Yeah, I get what you're saying, Red. I think, let's see. Red Hog says, I think we have more of a rivalry with LSU or with A&M than LSU. And I agree with that. Going back to Southwest Conference, you did. That's why I'm not going there. We're not going there. We're not going to talk about the old rivalries. But, yeah, it sounds like the revenue thing for national television, both of those teams have done much more than those of us, or those have done much more than us as of recent. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's always a numbers thing. It's always going to be about, who brings in the most money, who watches the most college football. Small state in the state of Arkansas. It's hard to compete with, the fan base that is Texas A&M and LSU, especially when they're winning. Corey Mooney says, I'm living in San Diego currently and contemplating flying down to Northwest Arkansas for a game this season. Which game would you suggest I try to attend? I'll let the chat handle that one. I'll let the chat handle that. I don't have the schedule in front of me, though. I do need to see the schedule. You guys have the schedule? Who's got the schedule? I don't have it in front of me. They don't have very many good games this year. Good grief. Mississippi State, is that in Fayetteville this year? Mississippi State's in Fayetteville, right? Mizzou in Little Rock? I'm trying to process too much of what's going on around me. But yeah, unfortunately, because they play away from Fayetteville and they've got a lot of road games, it's just, there's a conversation being had as to whether or not they should continue playing A&M at a neutral site, not making that a home and home again. I think it ought to be a home and home series, but that's me. I know a lot of people have fun on that one. That's a fun trip. Azazian says Hicks and Starkel's talent and experience alone will sneak us out 1 or 2 wins. I'm assuming you're talking about in the SEC. That we shouldn't have gotten. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think Mizzou's in Little Rock. Yeah, Mizzou is in Little Rock. Yeah, I don't even know if that would be a fun game to watch in Fayetteville. I don't know. Mizzou is in Little Rock, and Mississippi State is in Fayetteville. Blood Diamond says, yeah, Mississippi State, I guess, depending on what time of year you're at. What did you say? What time of year you were coming in? Oh, you didn't specify, did you? Well, so that's going to do it. All right. Well, 40 minutes is where we're at. Again, I want to thank you guys so much for taking a little time out of your day to stop by and check out the video. I'm going to have some more content hopefully out this week. But yeah, school's starting back up. I'm going to be a busy man come school time. Let's see. Red Hawk says, going to the Grove September 7th. Sister goes to Ole Miss, and my folks live in Oxford. Dad's a Hawk fan. Mom's a Reb. I suggest catching the A&M game in Arlington. Lived in Dallas for a while. I have never been to that game, and one day I will. One day I will make that game. I swear to God. If they keep playing down there, I'm going to have to go. But, yeah, that is it. Woo! We're done. I'm gonna take my kids. I gotta take them to well, we're gonna go get dinner, and then I'm gonna cash in for the night. But thank you guys, and remember, if you haven't already, to subscribe and check out all the links down below. I appreciate you guys. We hit 250,000 total views, 250,000 total views on the channel. That's a big deal. I really do appreciate it. It's hard to grow. This isn't a highlight channel. I don't make highlight videos. It's just me and you, and as intimate as that is, as much as I know you guys, apparently you like the content, you come back for it. I really do appreciate that. But 250,000 is a big deal. The next big step will be 500,000, 500,000. See how long that takes us to get there too. But it's cool. Thank you guys. I wouldn't be here without you. So yeah, you guys have a good rest of your week. Again, I'm going to try and get some content out to you sometime this week. Hopefully I get a video out by between tomorrow and Friday, so look out for that. I'm not really sure yet what the video is going to be on. There's a couple of things I want to talk about. It's just a matter of digging, doing some more research and digging. So Woo Pig Suey, brother, take it easy with the kids. Hey, thanks, Red Hog. Appreciate that. Jamal says Pig Suey, absolutely. Jamil, I'm sorry. I keep calling you Jamal. I'm sorry. Jamil Robinson. But special shout out to you guys. Wouldn't be here without you. 250,000. Yeah. Woo. Cool. All right. We'll see you guys later on in the week. I don't know if I'm going to continue going live or not. If we do, I'm trying to do once a week where I'm live. But if you miss me here, or if you're trying to get caught up, I will have more content, and I am going to try and keep doing these at least once a week for as long as I can. If you want to catch the Hawk Talk podcast with myself and Jacob Scott Davis, you can do that. Again, the link is provided down below. So that's going to do it. Thank you guys. Woo Pig.